Hello, our dear viewers, and welcome to a new edition of Africa Today. In today's edition, we are going to talk about the latest developments taking place in Sudan, and we'll start with this report. Sudan's ruling military council and civilian opposition alliance have signed a power-sharing deal in a ceremony attended by senior African and international figures. More details with Samah Sharif.
Sudan, a deal was signed between the country's ruling military council and protest leaders. The agreement ushers a new governing council including both civilians and generals. Mohammed Hamdan Hemeti Dagalo, widely regarded as Sudan's most powerful man, has pledged to abide by its terms. Sudan has seen pro-democracy protests and repression since longtime ruler Omar al-Bashir was ousted in April. The deal was signed by Hemeti and Lieutenant General Abdel Fattah Abdurrahman Burhan for the Military Council and Ahmed al-Rabia for the Alliance for Freedom and Change umbrella group of pro-democracy protesters. Figures from Egypt and the Prime Ministers of Ethiopia and the South Sudanese President were among regional leaders attending the ceremony. Under the deal, a sovereign council consisting of 6 civilians and 5 generals will run the country until elections. The two sides have agreed to rotate the chairmanship of the council for just over 3 years. A prime minister nominated by civilians is due to be appointed next week.
And Italy's Interior Minister Matteo Salvini has agreed to let 27 unaccompanied teenagers leave a migrant rescue ship amid a row between the far-right leader and his fellow ministers. More details.
Italy's far-right Interior Minister Matteo Salvini on Saturday reluctantly authorized 27 migrant children rescued at sea to disembark from a charity vessel anchored in limbo off Lampedusa Island for days. In a letter, Salvini told Prime Minister Giuseppe Conte he could authorize the alleged minors to leave the open arms ship despite it being divergent to his orientation. However, the remaining 105 adults and 2 accompanied children must stay on board in what the charity Proactiva Open Arms said were untenable conditions. The charity said it would need time to break the news to the migrants that most of them must remain on board. Some were rescued more than 2 weeks ago. The migrant standoff has taken center stage in the political crisis, pending a potential Senate no-confidence vote in Conte on Tuesday. The ship has been anchored within swimming distance of southern island Lampedusa, with 134 migrants on board since Thursday.
In Egypt, plans to construct solar plants in 7 African countries were announced. Reports say the Arab Organization for the Industrialization will launch the plans with capabilities and capacities ranging from 2 to 4 megawatts, and will take this report after being joined over the phone by Ambassador Mohammed Shazli, former assistant to the foreign minister, to shed light about the development in Sudan. Ambassador Shazli, good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon to you.
How are you? Ambassador Shazli, how would you describe the situation in Sudan after the signing of the deal?
I think I'm very optimistic. I have witnessed and listened to the speech given by the representative of the Freedom and Change movement, Mohammed Nagy al-Assam. It was a very promising speech given by somebody who I think whose star will rise rapidly in the field of international relations. He is young, he is very eloquent. The message he is sending is very constructive. He is sending messages to the African countries, to the international community, to the internal factions in Sudan, messages of reconciliation and of seeking cooperation to build peace. I think this is a very positive attitude. In addition to that, I think that the regional and international support for the agreement was very evident in the ceremony. top officials in the president of Kenya, the president of Chad, the president of South Sudan, the prime minister of Egypt, the prime minister of Ethiopia, the Arab League, Sudan.
I do believe that we do have certain technical problems with contacting Ambassador Mohammed Shazli, and now with this report about the plan to construct the solar plant. And I do believe that before taking the report, we will go on with Sudan, and we are again joined by Ambassador Mohammed Shazli. Ambassador Shazli. Ambassador Shazli?
Yes?
Yes, sir. Yes, we apologize for this technical problem. Sir, how do you explain the political and diplomatic flurry over the situation in Sudan and the attendance of so many African figures for the political signing ceremony there?
I think this is a very positive attitude. Sudan has, after 30 years of mismanagement, after 30 years of internal strife and civil war, the economy is in shutters. So Sudan needs the support of the international community in order to rebuild the new Sudan. One of the major steps that should be taken is lifting the sanctions that has been imposed on Sudan, removing Sudan from the list of the states that support terror, foreign investment in Sudan, which is very much needed, and taking into consideration that Sudan is a potentially very rich country. The only obstacle to its economic takeoff is that the instability and the internal strife that was rampant in the country. Now we have reached a new stage where we can really expect Sudan to take off. So I think this will attract lots of investment and lots of projects to rebuild what has been damaged. We need the cooperation of the regional power and of the international power. The Arab contribution, I think, is very important. I think the Gulf countries have shown great interest in Sudan. We have seen the involvement of Saudi Arabia and the Emirates. So I think I am optimistic. I think it is a right step in the right direction, but we should be alert to those who will try to sabotage this beginning. And I think in the words of Mohammed Nagim Hassan, he has shown his awareness of this, and he has informed that we should protect this revolution, and we should protect the interests of the country and not allow any forces to disrupt or sabotage what has been achieved.
Yes, indeed. Sir, how do you see the duration of the power sharing deal?
I didn't hear you well, please repeat.
How do you see the duration of the power sharing deal, Mr. Ambassador?
I think, it is reasonable. We are speaking of 39 months, 21 and 17. We need to build, democracy is not achieved by decisions. Democracy is built by building the tools of democracy. free press and free media, freedom of expression, freedom of association and of creating political platforms and political parties. All of this has to be built from scratch. The effort that is needed, I think, this interim period is a very good opportunity for the Sudanese people to work hard to build the institutions and the basis and infrastructure of democracy.
Yes. So what are your expectations for abiding by the agreement by both sides?
Please repeat.
Yes. What are your expectations for abiding by the agreement by both sides of the that signed the agreement? Actually,
this depends on the political will of the parties involved. I think so far each party has shown that there is a political will for the success of the agreement and for the success of the steps that are being taken towards stability and towards peace. The Sudanese people have suffered tremendously from civil war, from dictatorship, those who have been in prison, those who have been tortured, those who have been silenced. So I think everybody in Sudan today is looking forward for a new Sudan where you can build really the basis for a new Sudan where affluence, as I told you before, Sudan is potentially a very rich country.
Yes.
It could become one of the most affluent countries in the continent and
Yes.
indeed in the world. What it needs is stability, and what it needs is internal peace. And I am quite optimistic that the Sudanese people are aware of that, and they revolted to achieve that, and I am optimistic that they will achieve it.
yes. Mr. Ambassador, what are the guarantees for sticking to the deal from your point of view?
Please repeat.
What are the guarantees to stick to the deal?
As I said before, it is a matter of political will and a matter of conviction that this is the right path to affluence and stability and peace and the good livelihood to everybody in Sudan. I was ambassador in Sudan, and I have seen, Sudan could be the breadbasket of Africa and the Arab world. And we have the paradox where the World Food Program at some time was distributing food because there is famine in Sudan. That is because, there is no stability. You cannot go to your field and produce the necessary for your family. And this is tragic. You have a poor country which is unfortunate that does not have resources. But here you have a country that has tremendous resources. And yet there is famine, there is poverty, there is suffering and misery. So I think it is high time now to put our foot down and say that we will not return to this ugly phase of our history and move forward to a new phase where we can build prosperity for everybody.
Yes. Sir, finally, what in your opinion would be the first task of the new Prime Minister in Sudan?
You can repeat it again.
Yes. What would be the tasks of the new Prime Minister? The tasks of the new Prime Minister. Yes.
I think,
Yes, Mr. Ambassador?
Yes.
Yeah. What would be the tasks of the new Prime Minister?
Prime Minister.
I do believe that we are having some technical problems again, and now we'll go to watch this report. In Egypt, plans to construct solar plants in 7 African countries were announced. Reports say that the Arab Organization for Industrialization will launch the plants with the capacity ranging from 2 to 4 megawatts.
Egyptian officials have announced plans to construct solar plants across 7 African countries, saying they are part of their commitment to help the continent in its development process and improve the renewable energy performances of those countries. The Arab Organization for Industrialization, AOI, one of the largest industrial organizations in Egypt, reportedly will launch solar power plants in Uganda, Congo, Tanzania, Eritrea, Somalia, and South Sudan, with capacities ranging from 2 to 4 megawatts. Officials say Egypt carried out the implementation and supply activities in cooperation with its military production ministry, while the 7 countries identified the priority areas for the implementation of these stations. The Renewable Energy Authority head Mohammed Al-Khayyat said the solar energy stations will be used in lighting and desalination through an Egyptian grant worth of $12 million. He said the company hopes to be completed by 2020. According to the African Development Bank AFDB, the energy poverty in Africa is estimated to cost the continent 2 to 4% of GDP annually. It is estimated that in the Sahel region, Senegal, Nigeria, Mauritania, Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, Chad, Sudan, and Eritrea, about 64% of the population lives without electricity, hindering economic and social development.
Sudan's ruling transitional council is to be announced on Sunday. That is coming one day after the signing of a deal between the main opposition coalition and the military council. The transitional council is to include 11 members, 5 military members and 5 to be chosen by the opposition coalition, while a civilian member will be picked up upon agreement by the 2 sides. The agreement brought an end to nearly 8 months of upheaval that saw masses mobilizing against President al-Bashir, who was ousted in April after 30 years in power. And that was our wrap-up, our dear viewers, for the latest developments taking place in Sudan. Hope all the best will come to Sudan in the coming days. That was our program for today. I'm Hissi Rabia signing off.